In a landmark ruling that could have massive implications for global banking, Switzerland's Federal Administrative Court has declared that the $20 billion write-off of Credit Suisse's additional Tier 1 AT1 bonds during its 2023 rescue by UBS was unlawful. The decision marks a significant setback for Swiss financial regulators and may open the door to one of the largest compensation cases in banking history. The controversy dates back to March 2023, when the Swiss government brokered an emergency deal allowing UBS to acquire the failing Credit Suisse amid fears of a global financial contagion. As part of that rescue, the Swiss Financial Market Supervisory Authority (FINMA) wiped out the entire value of Credit Suisse's AT1 bonds, which were supposed to function as a buffer before equity holders absorbed losses. What made the move shocking to investors was that shareholders retained some value, while AT1 bondholders lost everything, a reversal of the usual creditor hierarchy. AT1 bonds, also known as contingent convertibles, or COCOS, were created after the 2008 financial crisis to strengthen banks' capital structures. They were designed to convert into equity or be written off if a bank's capital fell below a certain level. However, many investors argued that the legal conditions for the write-off in Credit Suisse's case were not properly met and that the government's emergency ordinance overstepped legal boundaries. In its ruling, the Swiss court agreed with the investors, stating that FINMA acted beyond its legal authority by erasing the AT1 bonds entirely. The judgment noted that the regulator failed to adequately justify the decision and did not provide investors the due process required under Swiss law. While the court's decision does not automatically restore the bond's value, it paves the way for billions in potential compensation claims against the Swiss government and FINMA. The ruling could also strain Switzerland's reputation as a stable and predictable financial hub. Analysts suggest the decision might lead to higher regulatory scrutiny, reduced investor confidence, and potentially greater costs for future bank bailouts. The government now faces the challenge of balancing investor demands for justice with the need to preserve confidence in the Swiss banking system. UBS, which completed its takeover of Credit Suisse in mid-2023, has distanced itself from the legal fallout, noting that the bond write-off was executed by regulators, not the bank itself. However, the court's decision could still indirectly affect UBS by reigniting public debate over how the deal was structured and whether taxpayers or investors should ultimately bear the burden of saving failed institutions. Investors across Europe and Asia, including large asset managers and sovereign wealth funds, have welcomed the verdict, calling it a victory for rule of law and financial fairness. Many of these bondholders had launched coordinated legal challenges worth billions, arguing that Switzerland's actions were arbitrary and violated investor protections. Financial experts warn that the case's outcome could reshape the AT1 bond market worldwide. After the Credit Suisse incident, many banks saw their AT1 instruments drop sharply in value, and new issuances slowed as investors demanded higher yields to compensate for perceived risks. Now, with the Swiss court ruling in favor of bondholders, there could be renewed interest in the asset class, but also increased legal caution in how such instruments are structured and enforced. The Swiss Finance Ministry has said it will review the ruling and consider possible appeals, emphasizing that the emergency measures were necessary to stabilize the country's financial system at the time. Still, this decision serves as a stark reminder that crisis-era decisions can face long-term legal consequences. Ultimately, the court's ruling doesn't just reopen old wounds from the Credit Suisse collapse, it challenges how far governments can go in rewriting financial rules during a crisis. The $20 billion question now is whether Switzerland will compensate the affected bondholders, and how that might reshape trust in global banking.